At the heart of editing with Adobe Premiere Pro, there are essentially two kinds of edit, two ways of having clips interact in a sequence that you are creating. And those two ways are insert and overwrite. I'm going to show you in this video the long way round, the detailed steps to choose where a clip's going to go. There are lots of shortcuts. You can drag with the mouse. We'll look at that in another tutorial. But if you understand this basic principle of inserting and overwriting, you're kind of halfway there to editing with any non-linear editing system like Premiere Pro. So I have a sequence here called Travelogue. It's just got one clip in it, which is a gull. I don't think there's much audio. Can't see much going on in the waveform. And over in the project panel, I've got a few other clips I want to add. And the first one I want to add is already open here in the source monitor. And if I just scrub on the time ruler here, I can see there's not much going on, but it's kind of a perfect second shot to go in my sequence. What I'm going to need to do is tell Premiere Pro where I want the new clip to go in terms of time and in terms of space, so in terms of the track it's going to land on. First of all, let me choose a part of it. This is a 12-second and 15-frame clip, so I'm going to take just a piece of this and pressing I, and then I'll just take about there. I'm going to press an O. You should make proper creative choices, unlike me. I'm just showing you where the buttons are here. So I've now chosen the beginning and end of the part of the clip that I want, and the next thing I'm going to do is tell Premiere Pro where to put that clip when I click the appropriate button. So down in the timeline panel, I don't have to take the next step. I can just use the playhead as the location to put the clip. But again, I want to show you the long way around. I'm going to position my playhead at the end of the clip that's here. Now there's a shortcut for doing this. If you press the down arrow and up arrow on the keyboard, the playhead will jump between the edits in your sequence. So I know by pressing the down arrow, my playhead is lined up perfectly. Now I'm not going to use the playhead, actually. I'm going to add an in point in the sequence. I'm going to press the I key here, and you can see I get this icon much like the one at the beginning of the selection in the source monitor. When you have an in point in the timeline panel, as I do now, Premiere Pro will use that in point as the alignment, if you like, as the positioning for the clip. It'll ignore the playhead. Again, you can just use the playhead, but I want you to see what we're about to perform is a classic three-point edit. Point number one is the in point here. Point number two is the out point that sets the duration. And point number three is the in point, which will be aligned with the in point in the clip. So when I click the button to add the clip to the sequence, Premiere Pro will place the clip, or at least this part of the clip, here where the in point is. This is a classic three-point edit. Now, I need to make a decision whether I'm going to insert or overwrite. An insert edit will push things out of the way to make room for the clip that's being added, and an overwrite edit will just lay over the top. It's like way back in the day with recording on videotape. In this instance, there's actually nothing there to interact with, so it doesn't make much difference. At the bottom of the source monitor, there's a button to insert and a button to overwrite. There's keyboard shortcuts in brackets for both. I'm just going to click and add the clip. And you can see I've now got both clips in the sequence. Where insert and overwrite gets a bit more interesting is with placing content inside an existing sequence between clips. So I'm going to press the up arrow here. I'm just going to click into the timeline panel, position my playhead, and let's open another shot. Here we go. Let's take this one. I'll mark it with an in point and an out point. Well, that's pretty short, isn't it? A second. Let's take a little bit more. Now, what I skipped over earlier is these buttons here. The buttons on the left represent the available tracks in the clip, video 1 and audio 1. The buttons on the right represent the tracks available in the sequence. They're lined up next to each other, and that's why the clips are landing on these tracks. If I drag this clip up here, you'll see that now when I apply the edit, the clip I add is going to be added to the V2 track instead. So very straightforward to choose where your content's going to go. Now look what happens if I overwrite. So I'm clicking the overwrite button, and you can see the new clip I've added has written over the top of the second clip, the mid-beach shot. I'll just undo with Command-Z or Control-Z on Windows, and look what happens when I insert instead. Now the second clip is moved out of the way. And that is the difference between insert and overwrite. It's pretty straightforward. One lays over the top and one pushes things out of the way. There's a few other ways of interacting with sequences, but they all pretty much sit on these two ideas of shuffling things around or just laying things on top or lifting them away for that matter.